Shabbat shalom. Can y'all hear me? Sister Yane, Shabbat shalom. Armando Alcala, shalom, Mak. I hope all is well with you. Uh, Khan. So we're gonna go ahead and get started by giving all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh by Hashem Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. Salakia for the little There was a point in time we started, and then the sister said, "Did the live start already? I can't hear." Right. So now the brother said they could hear. We'll go ahead and start. We had already read two precepts, but we'll go ahead and start back over. The name of the lesson is False Prophets, Vanity, Blind Followers, and then Salvation Issues Lead to Salvation. Right? The reason I'm doing this lesson is because I've fallen victim to all of these things at one point in my walk, just as many of y'all have as well as this brother y'all has said he has. I have. Like I said, the brother Jomar has, and many other brothers have fallen victim to certain things, giving your mind over to certain things, and specifically non-salvation issues. Right. So we're gonna start in Second Ezra.
This is Second Ezra, chapter 9, verse 13. And therefore be thou not curious how the ungodly shall be punished and when, but inquire how the righteous shall be saved, whose the world is, and for whom the world is created.
So it says, therefore be not curious how the ungodly shall be punished and when. So me coming in, and look, I'm just going to speak from personal experience, okay? And if you brothers or sisters have gone through the same thing, then it's going to sit right with your spirit. Some of you may not have gone through the same thing, right? And that's fine. But I guarantee you, if you're following certain ministries, churches, camps, etc., brothers, etc., online, you eventually will run into these things. Eventually, because it's very common and very prevalent, especially online. Of course, in real life too. But the majority of people, I would say, learn the word from the internet, right? Which is the information highway. You know, a lot of brothers say, get out in the highways and this, that, and the other. This is the information highway, which you could reach 1 billion people on here if the Most High wants you to, right? So when I'm speaking on certain things, again, this is from personal experience, right? So me first coming into the truth, one of the first things I learned was who Israel is, the curses. I found out I was an Israelite according to the curses, according to bearing witness in the spirit. Started watching videos from certain camps, congregations. I'm not even going to name any brothers or camps or nothing like that. To him who has ears, let him hear. Y'all, some of y'all already know exactly who I'm talking about, what brothers, what camps, whatever, right? Coming into the truth, one of the main things that was taught from the groups that I was following was Esau this, the other nations that, captivity this, punishment, judgment on all these other people, this, that, and the other. More than 50% of the time, probably way higher than that, but I'm going to say at least 50% of the time or more, was speaking on the judgment and punishments of other people, right? So go ahead and read it one more time out.
Khan. And therefore be thou not curious how the ungodly shall be punished and when, but inquire how the righteous shall be saved, whose the world is, and for whom the world is created.
So I had to learn on my own after probably around 2 years of following certain brothers and congregations and camps, etc., that I was wasting a lot of my time, not all of my time, but a lot of my time on exactly what it's saying here not to be curious about. It says, therefore, be thou not curious how the ungodly shall be punished and when. It's a good foundational piece of knowledge, or pieces of knowledge, pieces are to know their judgments according to the scriptures, etc. But it becomes a problem and a distraction when it's constantly just pushed over and over and over and over. And that's pretty much the main thing that's being taught or pushed out. right? So it says, but inquire how the righteous shall be saved. So we should be inquiring 10 times more on how to be saved, right? How to build up our faith, how to build up our households, how to live out our roles that the Most High has given us as men or women or children or as a husband, as a wife, etc. Right? So it says, but inquire how the righteous shall be saved, how to keep the commandments, how to keep the Sabbath, the holy days, how to honor your parents, including the Most High,
Mm-hmm.
how to not hold grudges, and how to forgive, and how to all of these other things, right? How to carry yourself in the right spirit.
How to give alms.
All of these things fall under the category of inquiring how the righteous shall be saved. So, again, from personal experience, that's what happened to me. I know it's happened to many brothers and sisters as well, right? So that's why we're going over this. But if you want to go ahead and jump to, what are you holding on?
Matthew chapter 7, verse 15.
Go ahead.
It says, beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves.
So we have to beware of false prophets, right? Beware of false prophets. And how do they come? They come in sheep's clothing, right? A sheep is a very harmless animal. So they're going to seem harmless, but also we know Yahweh said that he was coming for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So they're going to come to you as Israelites, right? As Israel. And actually, if you could get that, what I was telling you about earlier, Judges, I think it's 3 and 1.
Yeah, he said Judges 3.
Judges 3 and 1. It says, beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. In reality, they may come to you as Israel, as your brother, right? As your elder, your teacher, as your sister. But on the inside, they just want to eat you up because you're one of the sheep. You're one of the Most High sheep, and he don't want to. They don't want to see you have life. They want to eat you. They want to kill you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just Satan. That's the enemy working through them, right? Because like it says, he's the murderer from the beginning. That's what these false prophets and wolves are trying to do to you. And in reality, I'm just going to bring out this precept real quick because we were talking about it earlier. In reality, a lot of these people aren't even sheeps. They aren't sheep, right? They're not even Israel. Now, I'm not saying who is and who isn't, but according to these precepts we're about to bring out, there's no new thing under the sun. A lot of these so-called Israelites aren't Israelites. Go ahead.
Con. This is Judges chapter 3, verse 1. Now these are the nations which Yahweh left to prove Israel by them, even as many of Israel as had not known all the wars of Canaan, only that the generations of the children of Israel might know to teach them war, at the least such as before knew nothing thereof, namely 5 lords of the Philistines, and all the Canaanites, and the Sidonians, and the Havites that dwelt in Mount Lebanon, from Mount Baal Hermon unto the entering in of Hamath.
Go ahead.
And they were to prove Israel by them, to know whether they would hearken unto the commandments of Yahweh, which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses.
So in verse 1 and in verse 4 of Judges, the third chapter, it says that there were certain nations left amongst Israel to prove Israel by them, to know whether they would hearken to Yahweh or to these other nations, to these other people. Right? Go ahead and read verse 5.
Verse 5. And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, the Hittites, and Amorites, and Perizzites, and Hivites, and Jebusites.
So all these other nations were amongst us, right? Everybody, there's many different congregations, camps, brothers that always talk about Canaanites, right? Oh, they're Africans. We're not Canaanites. The Africans are Canaanites and all of these things, right? There's many people still left amongst Israel that Israel.
to be their daughters to sons and serve their gods.
and they're amongst us, right? And also, just to throw it out there, because I know some brothers recently were talking about how Hispanics, they're saying Hispanics and Native Americans are not Israelites,
I seen it.
right? And I agree to an extent. There's so many people that are actually Spaniards, right? That are so-called Hispanics or natives. They've been down the line. They have been mixed with other nations. But guess what? There's camps that teach all Negroes are Israelites.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that is they got last names like Smith, Washington, Jones, all of these slave owner last names. So down the line, they could have so-called white ancestors and seed in their line, which is again, like the brother was saying earlier when we are talking about this. This is why you don't go through endless genealogies. All that does is minister more questions and more confusion.
That's not even a salvation problem,
right? What you should be focused on is if you're bearing witness in the spirit, right? But that's for another topic. But that's just to bring out how some of these people aren't even Israel. So go ahead and go back to Matthew 7 one more time.
This is Matthew chapter 7, verse 15. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves.
So a lot of these people are ravening wolves. They're not trying to help you, right? They're not trying to save your soul. All they're set up to do is to distract you and to deceive you in one way or another. So actually, if you want to get that in Job 12, 12 and 16. So we have to understand that, because see, my thing was I would get very upset when I was, maybe 1, 2, 3, even 4 years coming into the truth, where when I would find out somebody was just deceiving people, and I'm like, man, this it's vexing me, and I would have hatred and a grudge and all this anger towards them. But in the end, we have to realize that the Most High set that up, right? He okayed that. He green lighted that, so to speak.
This is Job chapter 12, verse 16. With him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his.
So the deceived, everybody that is getting deceived in these last days, and everybody who's deceiving them, they belong to the Most High, right? He allows people to get tested, right? It was like I was telling the brother earlier, when I would teach jujitsu, right? There was certain times where people were up for promotion, and it's like, okay, that he's been here this long, he's been doing good. Let's see, he won that tournament. Okay, he lost that one, but he's been doing pretty good, putting in the sweat and the hours and the work. Let's test him out. It's not that I was going and choking him out. It's that I was letting him go against somebody else to test and see where he was at, right? So the Most High allows people to go through certain things, to come across false prophets, to see if they're going to be blind followers and just, oh man, yeah, that brother sounds mighty in the spirit. I like the way he speaks, right? Or if you're going to listen to the word, or if you're going to listen, when something doesn't sit right in your spirit, are you going to look more into it? You're just going to, oh, okay, I'm going to buy into it, right? Because that's what a lot of people do as blind followers. So let's go ahead and go back, or let's go to Jeremiah 17 and 5, actually. 17 and 5. Because the only reason people are blind followers is because they trust in men more than the Most High, right? And I remember a long time ago, there's a brother named Hawiyala that he had told me, and it always stuck with me. He was like, yeah, man, I mean, Israel loves the star. A pedestal and look at like, damn, that's the dude, right? Whether it be your camp leader or your teacher, your elder, or your pastor, your minister, your priest, whatever the case may be. When in reality, the only one we should be looking up to is Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Go ahead.
This is Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 5. Thus saith Yahweh, Cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from Yahweh.
So it says, cursed is the man that trusts in men and makes flesh his arm. In other words, you're allowing men to be your strength, right? When Yahweh is the one who gives strength. You allow men, you're a respecter of persons to men, and to the point where you won't even correct them.
Yep.
Right? And I've came across many brothers in the past few years from certain camps that they'll message me and be like, "Oh, you know what? That post, it makes sense," or "I heard that lesson, and yeah, that makes sense." Whether it be about baptism or whether it be about certain other issues, right? About prostitution and other issues that their camps didn't agree with. But guess what? They won't even try to correct or even talk to their elder or whoever's in charge of their camp, right? And that's because you see them, you're putting them up on a pedestal to where they're beyond correction. And we can't do that because the Most High said there shall be no respecters of persons,
Con.
right? Warrior's dream, yes, we should be seeking the kingdom to secure our own position,
Philippians 2 and 12.
our own salvation. Con, if you want to get that real quick.
Con.
Yeah, Philippians 2 and 12. I mean, work out your own salvation. Right now, it's good. It's like Solomon said, two are better than one, right? Because you have a good reward for your labor. You got twice as much labor. But you got to understand that when it comes to who you're learning from, that has to be taken even more seriously than just who you're hanging around,
Mm-hmm.
right?
This is Philippians chapter 2, verse 12. Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling.
So in the end, that's always what it comes down to. You always have to work out your own salvation. Nobody else can work out your salvation for you, right? If you can get Ezekiel 14 and 14 real quick.
Uh,
Ezekiel 14:14. So all of us have to work out our own, like the brother said here, I believe it's a brother warrior's dream. We should be seeking the kingdom to secure our own position, our own salvation, right? Now, as men of the Most High, we know it is our duty to help out our families, right? But in the end, can't nobody else take us with them into the kingdom, right?
uh. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 14, verse 14. Though these three men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they should deliver but their own souls by their righteousness, saith Yahweh God.
So you can help anyone else out on this path, right? But in the end, just like Noah, he saved some people on the boat and by building the boat, right, through the Most High. But that doesn't mean he saved their souls. They each had to still work out their own salvation,
Mm-hmm.
right? You got a precept out?
Fine. I actually got two of them. One of them is the book of Hebrews, chapter 2, verse 1. And it reads, therefore we ought to give the more earnest heed to the things which we have heard, lest at any time we should let them slip.
Allow people to change our minds on it.
Mm-hmm.
Or the opposite. You'll learn something from somebody, and then when new information comes across, you see some other precepts, and you're like, wait a second. But this, I learned it this way, but these precepts go completely against it. And then you go back and you look at it, and you're like, you know what? This was actually out of context.
Mm-hmm.
But you still are like, nah, I'm not gonna follow that because I learned it from this person, or I learned it from this camp, or this brother, right? And then you go back and you look at the precepts, and you're like,
This is Second Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. A workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth.
So in order to be approved by the Most High, and in order to secure our own position, we have to be workmen in the truth, right? We have to rightly divide the word of the Most High. So if you're one of these brothers, and this isn't to shame you, right? But there is a shame that will bring you, that will lead you to salvation, right? I went through that as well, where I would just learn from people and I would take their word for it and run with it, right? I would just run. Oh, he said this. Okay, these are the precepts on it, and I run with it, right? And that's why I know a lot of brothers are going to be offended by the post that I made, right? But I stand 100% by what I said when I said that there are certain brothers in the flatters.
No, the Most High said he will cut out the flattering tongue.
He will cut out the flattering tongue. So imitation is the highest form of flattery. And you got brothers over here just flattering the hell out of whoever they learn from, which is crazy. We're all parts of the body, right? Not everybody's a teacher, and that's fine. But those who do teach, you should teach the way you teach, right? Me, Kana, I teach a certain way. This brother, Ayal, he teaches a different way. You listen to somebody else, whether it be the brother Armando, he could teach way better in Spanish than I can teach in Spanish because I don't even speak Spanish. I speak Tex-Mex. It's not even proper Spanish, right? There's some words here that I'll say, and this brother probably won't even know, right? But I think it needs to be, right? So when you are sounding exactly, and there's certain, again, I'm not going to mention certain brothers' names or camps or nothing like that, but a lot of y'all or some of y'all may know exactly the type of thing I'm talking about, where there's certain camps where everybody sounds like a clone of the head of the camp, right? But go ahead.
That's funny, man. All right, so this is the book of First John. This is chapter 4, verse 1. Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of Yahweh, because many false prophets are gone out into the world.
So there's many false prophets that are in the world. And we have to understand that and know that. And Yahushua said the same thing. I believe it's Matthew 24 and 24. You can get it real quick. Said there was many well, he said many false Christs, right? But it's the same thing. Brothers see certain other brothers or teachers as their savior without even knowing it sometimes. Go ahead.
Just like pride sneaking up on you.
Khan.
But this is Matthew chapter 24, verse 24. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
So, all praise to the Most High. It's not possible for the elect to be deceived. But they are so powerful because remember, 2 Corinthians 4 and 4 says that Satan's the God of this world, right? And he is the power of this world. Lowercase g, he's the God of this world. So these false prophets have a lot of power. They know how to speak as well. And that's the thing. A lot of people get caught up in what they hear as opposed to the fruits that people bring. Right? And actually I got a precept in 2 Timothy 4 and 3. It says, for the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. So there's certain people that just heap up to themselves teachers. There's certain people that may call themselves teachers, prophets, elders, etc., priests, but in reality they aren't real leaders or teachers because they have no fruits to show that. But they speak good. So these people with itching ears, they just love it, right?
I got a precept for you too.
Go ahead.
This is Matthew chapter 15, verse 9. But in vain they teaching for doctrines the commandments of men.
Khan, go ahead and read it one more time, Mark.
Khan. But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men.
Teaching for doctrines the commandments of men, right? And that's Christianity in general, but you also have in certain camps, congregations, etc., where they'll teach, they literally condemn people for doing things that aren't in the that in the scriptures it doesn't say you're condemned for, and the opposite. They'll say you can do certain things when the scriptures clearly say that you cannot, right? And one of them is like you can sleep with prostitutes. It's perfectly fine, right? There's many brothers that teach that, which is ridiculous. There,
That
there's
make no sense.
there's many, and again, I'm not trying to get into too many specific. I could tell y'all, I could rattle off 10 specific things that brothers teach that is off. This is more of an overview of that to warn y'all, like I said in First John 4:1, to look out for false prophets, right? Like our Messiah said in Matthew 24:24 that there's going to be many false Christs and false prophets, right? So you need to pray for discernment, but also study to show yourself approved, so that when you hear false doctrines, you already have some precepts written on the table of your heart to where you're like, you know what, that sounds off. He's saying this, but I know in these two, three, four precepts, it says the opposite of it, right?
Khan. I got another precept. And this is to go off of what the brother is saying, specifically about these people that be talking and teaching these commandments of men. Right? This is the book of Sirach, chapter 21, verse 7. An elegant man is known far and near, but a elegant man is known far and near, but a man of understanding.
Or enough humility to know when they slip, or they know that they got proved wrong and they're just completely either deflect, because a lot of brothers are good at this, right? I've seen brothers debate points to other brothers, and guess what they'll do? They'll just deflect, or they'll just completely run away from it. As far as like, no, no, well, let's go over here. These precepts, instead of answering a simple question, right? And I know I get a lot of slack for it, but the one super easy one, right, is baptism.
Yep.
Okay, baptism. Why? Because I don't even ask brothers just, hey, do you believe in baptism? I don't even ask that no more straight out like that, because I already know if they don't believe in baptism, then they're the majority of the time, right? Not all the time. There's the rule, and then there's the exception to the rule, right? And if you get First Peter 2:21 real quick.
Khan.
So what I'll ask them is, do you believe that Yahushai or that our Messiah was a perfect example? Anybody in the truth is gonna say,
Yeah,
Khan,
come.
Khan, you 100%. So
Hereunto were ye called, because Hamashiach also suffered for us, leaving us an example that ye should follow his steps.
so if he left us an example and we should follow in his steps, and when I ask, is he the perfect example? If you were to say, okay, well then shouldn't you be baptized to follow his perfect example? And you start coming up with so many excuses. Well, I mean, plain and simple, you're being a hypocrite. Because you say one thing, but then you're gonna like adamantly try to prove why you shouldn't follow in his footsteps. But if he's the perfect example, right? Then how can you say he's the perfect example? But no, we're not gonna follow that footstep.
Speak not against the truth.
Con and be not hasty in thy words and deeds, and slack and remiss. A lot of people say things and they don't even realize what they're saying until they get proven wrong. And then when they're proven wrong, they're real slippery when it comes to getting out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they just turn into like a damn Usain Bolt or something, and they gotta go or they don't want to talk about it, right?
That's the majority of people, though, when you think about it.
Con, but just bringing that out because the post, I'm sure some of y'all or most of y'all got on the live from the Instagram, right? If somebody says that Yahushua that he did, that doesn't make any sense. That's a hypocritical thing to say.
Didn't Job say, hypocrite shall not stand before Yahweh?
The hypocrites shall not stand before me. That's what the Most High said, right? Through Job. So we gotta see these types of things and we gotta understand them, and not only understand them for what they are, but we got to apply them for what they are. It's like what did DMX say? If I see a snake when you know a snake.
You see it. So if you see a snake, trust it to bite you when you see it. If you see a liar, trust a liar to lie to you. You know what I'm saying? Trust. He said, trust him when trust him to be them when you see them, but know him when you see him.
That's none of us, and this is gonna this is gonna piss off some
Gonna
people.
ruffle some feathers.
It's gonna ruffle some feathers, and me and the brother were talking about this too because I've had brothers tell me in the past that well my camp or my leader or my elder or whoever said we shouldn't we should all unfollow you or we shouldn't talk to you or we shouldn't or that brother's going off like don't associate with him. So what that tells me is that some people spend so much time know my person can stand. The Most High gives you so much power that a whole group will have to stand against you instead of one brother coming to you and saying, "Oh, well, let's talk about this," right? But the scriptures say, "Debate thy cause with thy neighbor," and they won't debate with you one on one because that's not what they're about. They're about show. They're about getting. That's
People who so-called in these congregations and camps, and they'll tell people, right, to not follow the brother or to not follow this person because of this and that. You basically letting somebody, dictate what you do. But this is First Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 21. Prove all things, hold fast that which is good. But the key is prove all things.
Come, we have to prove all things. So I've had brothers tell me the same thing though. I've had brothers say, "No, well, you can't affiliate with this brother because this, that, and the other." And it's like, but this brother, first of all, when this has happened to me before, the majority of the time, what I'll say is like, you know what? Let's get this brother. Let's talk and let's get this brother in on the conversation, right? Or it's gonna be like they don't want to do it, and I'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna reach out to that brother and say, hey, well, this brother was saying this about you,
Yep.
and this, that, and the other, and that's how we're gonna work it out, right? Because we have to prove all things. That's our job. Just like being a workman in the truth, that's part of being a workman in the truth.
It's in the law that we can't go up and down as a tailbearer.
Con. Hold on, let me block this user real quick. It was something sex, I don't know what.
An agent.
Right. So, anyways, I'm gonna go back up. Warrior's Dream. It says, yes, I've heard. If you can get 1 Corinthians 13:9, not Baba Kasha, 13:9. Yes, I've heard brothers out here just parroting what camp leaders teach without wisdom. It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate, but you know what? I'll be honest and say that I was like that for a short period of time as well.
It happens.
Right? It happens. And at one point in time, I took down all the videos that me and a couple of brothers had done out when we were teaching and stuff, because later on in hindsight, I was like, damn, I could see pride in our faces. Literally, I could see pride. Like that was the spirit that we were in.
Blessed is he who has not been convicted by or condemned by his own conscience.
So if you feel convicted in your conscience to do something, then you need to do it, right? All praises to Abba. Kawas Malak. Yahweh Yahushua Barakatak. Warrior's Dream said signal breaking up. All right, we'll try and talk a little bit slower. Like I said before, we get bad signal out here.
This is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 9. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part.
So the Bible says we know in parts and we prophesy in parts. But you have a lot of brothers or camps out here saying that they have 144% truth.
You believe it too.
And they believe it, meaning they don't believe that they prophesy in part or know in part. They think that they know everything and prophesy everything. Go ahead one more time out.
For we know in part, and we prophesy in part.
So if the scriptures say we know in part and we prophesy in part, then that's the truth, right? There's no possible way that any of us could know everything that the Most High knows. And now, of course, the word isn't everything that the Most High knows. But there's no possible way. Again, if the scriptures say we know in part and prophesy in part, none of us have 144% truth. That is a very prideful thing to say. If you want to get that in Sirach too, pride is the beginning of all sin. Because we have to understand and be able to identify when brothers or sisters are moving in pride. Right? I believe it's what, 10 and 12?
10, 13.
10, 13.
This is Sirach chapter 10, verse 13. For pride is the beginning of sin, and he that hath it shall pour out abomination. And therefore Yahweh brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly.
Calm. So pride is the beginning of sin, right? And in verse 12, it says, the beginning of pride is when one departs away from Yahweh. So as soon as you start moving in pride, saying things in pride,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you start moving away from the Most High. Right? And then it says, for pride is the beginning of sin. That pride will lead you into sin. Right? And that's why you have certain brothers or prophets out here acting like if they're see other nations, and when we're in the kingdom, that's a very prideful thing to say.
Definitely.
And pride is the beginning of all sin. And when you start moving in pride, the Most High will bring upon you calamities and overthrow you utterly. Right? So we have to, this is why it's very important to pray for discernment to be able to see these things, and then also to be able to move in strength and in power and be right. Because in second John, if you want to get second John, I think it's 1 and 10.
Fine.
It says if you're even bidding Godspeed to these people that are pushing false doctrines and all of these things, that you're partaking in it.
Yep.
So if you partake in evil, guess what? You got to partake in the punishment for that evil as well.
Gotta happen. This is the book of Second John, chapter 1, verse 10. If there come any unto you, and bring not this doctrine, receive him not into your house, neither bid him Godspeed.
Go ahead.
For he that biddeth him Godspeed is partaker of his evil deeds.
So you partake in people's evil deeds when you know they're teaching something wrong, but you just go along with it anyways. You go along to get along.
I know a brother like that too.
I know many brothers and even sisters like that.
Uh-huh.
Right? There was even a sister that I won't say her name or nothing like that, but she had showed me a video of something that happened when she was congregating with a certain camp, right? And something was happening with the camp to where they were being very, very prideful.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually told the sisters, come here and partake in this. Be prideful with us. And even though her and maybe some of the other sisters as well felt like it was wrong, they still partook in it.
Yep.
Right? And even though they knew it was wrong. That's like that song, Pharisees. It
Yep.
said it says
Repent from being a Pharisee.
it said men of the Lord, now
Now
the
the
men
men
of
of
evil.
evil.
And the women are aware, they can feel it in the air like
Like
Beanie
Benny
Siegel,
Siegel.
right? So you may know somebody's evil, right? They may claim to be men of the Lord, and you know they're evil. You could feel it in the air, but you still don't say nothing.
Yep.
You still go along with that. And like it says in Second John 1:11, it says you can partake in their evil deeds just like that, right? Just by saying, "Oh yeah, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai Barakatah," and you know they're teaching against the doctrine of Yahweh Shai. They're teaching against certain things that he did or that he taught, right? So going along with what we were saying earlier about upbraiding, there's a difference between upbraiding and there's a and between separating yourself from people that cannot be corrected when it comes to the doctrines that they believe and they hold on to that can be proven wrong
Mm-hmm.
by the word, right? Because many people look at their elders or their priests or their whatever you want to call them, their deacons, and they see them as incorrectable, like they cannot be corrected.
Yep.
They cannot say anything to them, right? Because guess what? If you do say something, a lot of the times they know or they don't. They know that they can't say nothing because brothers and sisters have been kicked out of their congregations or camps just by questioning them,
Yep.
right? And you just ask, well, you said that this, and yeah, I know we believe this, but what about this? And then it's, oh, nah, you're being a bug out. Nah, this brother's bugged out. This brother this and that, and we got to get him out, right? when in reality they're just being questioned. They're trying to prove all things.
I got a precept too, right?
Go ahead.
And this falls under all of the ones who are like the heads of these congregations who don't want to get corrected, right? This is Proverbs chapter 15, verse 10. Correction is grievous unto him that forsaketh the way, and he that hateth reproof shall die.
Con. And that goes perfectly along. That's not just because of the correction part, right? But it tells you why. It says correction is grievous unto him that forsakes the way.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't Yahushua say that he's the way,
Yeah, the
the word?
door, all of that.
He's the word, he's the way and the truth and the life. So anytime you have certain people that are telling you not to do things that Yahushua did, but he's the way, right? That's why the correction is grievous to these people, because they have forsaken the way. They have forsaken following in that example.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says, "He that hateth reproof shall die." Right? If you hate to be corrected, you're gonna end up dying because you're refusing that instruction and that correction. If you want to get verse 32 as
Con,
well.
con. Verse 32. He that refuseth instruction despiseth his own soul, but he that heareth reproof getteth understanding.
So you can either hate correction and then you'll die, right? You can refuse that correction, and in reality, like it says here in Proverbs 15:32, you're despising your own soul by not accepting correction. Right? I mean, how many times have has that ever happened to any of y'all? It's happened to all of us,
I used to be real stubborn.
right? Or even look at it from the outside in. Like, you try to help somebody out and you say, "Look, the word says this, that, and the other,"
Mm-hmm.
right? And they refuse it because, and in reality, like the Bible says, they despise their own soul. Like, they're not trying to get their soul in order.
Right, they don't care.
They don't care what happens to their soul. Like we were talking about earlier, they think they got so much time.
Yep.
They got so much time to do whatever they want, right? And then it says, "But he that heareth reproof getteth understanding."
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yep. That's exactly right. They lack humility.
Didn't we talk about that the other day? Didn't I say something about that? It's people. It's so much easier said than done. Like literally, we it talks about humility so much, but it really takes some real strength, like some real spiritual, eternal, internal, intellectual strength for you to really be humble.
Con, con, and to be humble really means, if you can get Romans 16:18,
Con.
right? To be humble really means that you are not going to serve your own belly,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're going to serve the Most High. So whatever He says, whatever His will is, you're just going to put your pride aside and you're going to do it. You're going to strive to the best of your ability to do it. And that comes with correction. There's not one of us that hasn't been corrected by the Most High, and there's not one of us that's not going to be corrected by the Most High again.
Oh, multiple times.
Go ahead.
This is Romans chapter 16, verse 18. For they that are such serve not our Adawan Yahweh Shai Hamashiach, but their own belly, and by good words and fair speeches deceive the hearts of the simple.
There are many people that are very simple, right? The more you're in the spirit, the more you're in the scriptures, the wiser you're gonna get. You can't be simple and be wise, right? So this says that there are people that don't serve Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. They serve their own belly, meaning whatever they can get out of it, right? Whatever they can eat out of it. There are many people, so-called brothers or teachers in this truth, that just want to get money out of whoever it is that's under them. A lot of them. And
Or vainglory.
or vainglory, or women.
That too.
Because there's many so-called brothers out here that will only teach a sister if she looks a certain way. Or there's many brothers out here that will only help out a sister if they want to get in her pants.
True that.
And I know from personal experience, I know sisters that it's actually happened to,
Yeah.
right? So I know this to be a fact. It says there are people that serve their own belly, and by good words and fair speeches deceive the hearts of the simple. They are very simple-minded people. That's what this is talking about, the hearts of the simple. Your heart is your mind. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So it deceives simple-minded people, right? And there's many, and women being the weaker vessel, I've seen this happen to many women, but guess what? It happens to men as well. And that's why they end up following these false prophets, and they fall into vainglory and vanity, and they also become blind followers, where you could show them 10, 12, 15 precepts going against what they've been taught, right? Showing how what they were taught was out of context, etc., and it doesn't matter.
Yep.
It doesn't matter because they, through good words and fair speeches, they have been deceived. They were very simple minded. And coming back to what the brother says, they lack humility. It takes a whole lot of humility, more humility than most people have, to be able to be like this. Damn, I bought into this brother or this church or this congregation or
Mm-hmm.
this camp's lies, right? And all praise to the Most High. I was one of those, and I was able to come out of it,
All praise to Yahweh.
right? And I'm not saying every single thing that these camps teach is lies. We know there's a lot of truth, but it's like I said in previous lives as well. If I was feeding this brother y'all every day, right? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm like, hey, come live in my house, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to feed you everything. And I'm giving him good, healthy meals, but I put a little tiny bit of poison in each meal. A
Mm-hmm.
tiny bit. And at first, he doesn't, he's fine, right? A few
Mm-hmm.
days go by, a week goes by, and then he's like, you know what? I kind of feel funny,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I keep giving him good meals, steak, potatoes, all types of so-called Mexican food, some mole, enchilada, all this type of stuff. He
Samichon.
sandwichon, right? It it eventually it's going to add up to the point where it's really gonna hurt him. And if he doesn't get stop eating that poison and get out, it's gonna kill him,
Exactly.
right? And that's how it is with a lot of these camps, congregations, churches, etc.
It's also like what you said the other day too, Ak, with the whole Kanye situation. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just this can apply to anybody, but I'm gonna use this for example. You might have something wrong with your spirit, but the Most High, like it says in Proverbs 21:1, He can use whoever He wants to spread a message that actually is true. It's like when with the book of Daniel, where he used the king Nebuchadnezzar,
Nebuchadnezzar come.
right? Nebuchadnezzar was a wicked man, but guess what? He said some real true stuff. He said everybody honor Daniel's God, the one and only. But guess what? Him himself, he was wise, teaching many, but unprofitable to himself. So,
Khan. And that's why we have to remember there's people set up in this walk that they are not even to be profitable to themselves. They're just to teach certain things to certain people. There's certain people like for we've talked about as well, and I'll just give my kind of testimony on that. As far as there was certain people that helped me out in the beginning to come into the truth, and they're not even trying to follow the word no more,
exactly.
right? Or they're completely just going off on
Bugged out.
on man-made doctrines,
Yep.
right? Or they've made flesh their arm. They're following after men. They're following after the commandments of men as opposed to the Most High's commands, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like he said, the Most High used Nebuchadnezzar, who was the king of Babylon, wicked as hell, but he still said, "Oh, everybody serve Daniel's God. He's the only one true God." Right? So the Most High can use anybody to spread some truth. But now, again, what are you going to do with that truth when it comes to okay, okay, that could bring us into the next little subtopic, right? There was a certain camp Me and another brother wanted to be in affiliation with a few years back. Eventually, we didn't. All praise to the Most High. It didn't go through, and we didn't really become like an affiliation with them, right? But this camp was basically saying that we had to teach everything according to what they said because that was the truth, right? And everybody, for the most part, not everybody, but for the most part, that's how congregations or camps work, right? So one of the main things though that really didn't sit right with my spirit, if you can get Proverbs 2:6,
Con.
is that you basically had to worship some of these men that were at the top,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you were to even question anything against what they were saying, it was like immediately out.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, you're a bug out.
Ashamed.
Even if you're not saying like, well, nah, that's not right. Even if you're just to question like, well, I know you teach this and believe this, but how about these precepts? They kind of point to the opposite of that, or they point to something else. Automatically, like, no, you're disrespecting them, you're dishonoring them. They're the ones who taught you the truth. How are you going to disrespect or dishonor somebody? You wouldn't even know the truth if it wasn't for these men.
Yep, they're the reason why you even came into this thing and why you know what you
Right,
know.
you
Like,
you this is another thing. Multiple brothers told me this, right, about the same so-called elders. You wouldn't even know you were an Israelite if it wasn't for these brothers. That's one of the most, when I heard that, and not even just once, it was multiple times. You wouldn't even know you're an Israelite if it wasn't for these elders, if it wasn't for these men making videos. That's a very prideful thing, and that never sat right with my spirit. But again, all praise to the Most High that he was able to allow me to see that. Right?
mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
This is Proverbs chapter 2, verse 6. For Yahweh giveth wisdom, out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding.
So these men did not give me wisdom, right? They didn't give me eyes to see and ears to hear. Like it says in Proverbs 20 and 12,
Yep.
it says the hearing ear and the seeing eye, Yahweh hath made both of them. It wasn't no elder or no other person that gave us ears to hear or eyes to see. It wasn't no man that gave wisdom, right? It was Yahweh who gives wisdom and Yahweh who allows you to see the truth.
And this is a precept just to go literally out the same exact verse. Sirach chapter 1, verse 1. All wisdom cometh from Yahweh and is with him forever.
All wisdom comes from Yahweh. No, all wisdom comes from camp leaders.
La'ah.
All wisdom comes from the Most High.
Khan.
Right? And this is another precept, Sirach 43:33. For Yahweh hath made all things, and to the godly hath he given wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
It's a godly thing to search out the scriptures, right? In order to live them out. So the most high is the one who gives wisdom. And guess what? Everybody has a different level of wisdom.
Yep.
And that's perfectly fine. There's certain brothers, like I've said many times, there's certain brothers that are really good at Hebrew, that they could translate from Hebrew to English, from the modern to the paleo to the pictograph. I'm not that brother.
Yeah, I ain't him.
I ain't that brother. There's brothers that could break down all the Daniel chapter 8 prophecies, and you see the 2,000 days was because when the Persians and the Medes they took over, and they could break down all the different prophecies and things like of that nature. Maybe not all of them, but the difficult ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can have a I may have a way more basic understanding on that, and that's perfectly fine with me.
Yep.
Because to me, like I said before, if you go through my channel, they send like every month, what is it called? Like an update for your channel, right? And I have like close to 200 hours of live lessons. If you go through all of them, about 90% or more is probably salvation issues.
More like 95%.
Right. It's all things that, okay, if you're going off in this area and you don't get it corrected, you're risking your salvation. Right? So following false prophets, again, That is a salvation issue,
Definitely one.
right? Uh, uh, One that I did, and I remember a certain brother was like, "Man, I'd never really heard anyone speak on this topic, and I didn't even know how bad I was going off." Was when I did on honoring your parents, right? And like little things like that. That's actually salvation issues, right? So for me, everybody, I know everybody has different levels of wisdom, and they're going to teach in certain areas, right? So when that camp or that congregation, when I had multiple people telling me like, you only know who you are because of these brothers, and you can't be questioning them or speaking against them, blah blah blah, right? That's an automatic red flag.
Con. I can't even find a verse right now, but there's one verse I think in Luke where it tells you take heed to how you hear.
Con.
Oh, there it is right there. This is Luke chapter 8, verse 18. Take heed therefore how ye hear. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given. And whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken, even that which he seemeth to have.
Con. We have to take heed to how we hear. And that can go a couple different ways. When you hear a certain thing, sometimes just the spirit that someone's telling you in can tell you more than what they're actually telling you.
Yep.
Right? There's times, and especially when it comes to correction, right? When I was um I wouldn't say affiliated, but associated with certain brothers from certain camps, and they would never tell me nothing. They would never like say, "Oh yeah, you know what, Ak, I hope you're doing good. How's the family? I'm praying for you." Nothing like that, right? But when they disagreed with something, they were automatically either calling, texting in my DMs, "Hey, Ak, well, this," and you know what? That's fine. If some of the times I was wrong, right? I'll admit some of the times I was wrong, but you can tell more by the spirit they're correcting in a lot of times than the actual correction. So sometimes it was like, you know what, you're right, I was wrong on this, and I've even spoken a couple of times where I was like, you know what, this brother brought this out to me, and when I said this was actually wrong. This is actually right, right? But guess what? I learned more from like, man, this brother was just waiting to. He was waiting to go at me. Like he was waiting to try and cut me up.
Waiting for
And
that.
it wasn't like a brotherly love type of thing, right? Because we're supposed to not suffer sin upon our neighbor, right? It says don't hate or hold a grudge against your neighbor, but correct them as to not suffer sin upon them. So the opposite of hate is love. You're supposed to correct your brother. I get that, right? And I will receive correction, but the spirit you're doing it in,
Says everything.
it says everything about you. So when it says take heed to how you hear, that's another big part of it. And also taking heed to how you hear when certain brothers say certain things, a lot of times there's some you got to read between the lines.
The fruit of the tree declared if it hath been just.
Calm. There's certain spirits that brothers have on them when they teach certain topics. Let's say that. There was a sister that told me that just a couple of days ago too. She was like, this brother keeps saying talking about this topic, but it's the way he's saying it that it leads me to believe this. And I'm like, you know what? I thought the exact same thing.
I get it.
Because it's showing you when you have discernment and you take heed to how you hear, you're gonna understand more than what's spoken, right? And let me read this real quick. Warrior's Dream. That's a shame. Gotta love those in need, not take advantage. That's how these sisters get damaged. Brothers gotta care about a sister's soul condition, not satisfying the flesh.
How many brothers nowadays actually move like that though?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, from what I've seen, there's very little.
Slim to none. What Solomon say? One of 1,000.
One of 1,000 have I found of men, right? And women have I found none, right? And that's it. That's like let me get this precept real quick. You want to read that the second comment on?
Con. He said, Armando said, I pray for both of you brothers. Reason why I listen to this channel is for the humility shown That's the perfect way to lead. All praises to Abba. Call Allah Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. I spend a lot of time grieving, to be honest with you, because I don't feel like, I'll ever be to that point. But through the Spirit, and if it's in the will of the Most High, Most High willing to have mercy enough on both of us. And for all those who sincere, striving to follow the word of truth, right? And that we make it into the kingdom. Humility is the only way to.
Khan. I can't remember what brother had said it. There's a brother that makes music, and it was probably a couple years ago that I heard him, but he said humility is salvation.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, damn, I can definitely attest to that. Like I felt that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, my soul.
Right. So this brother said though, that's a shame. Gotta love those in need, not take advantage. That's how these sisters get damaged. Brothers gotta care about a sister's soul condition, not satisfying the flesh. Right. So this is 2 Timothy 3, and I'll start on verse 1. It says, "This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truth, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of the Most High, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away." Right? So it says in the last days, there's going to be people like this, speaking specifically on brothers, because that's what we're talking about. It said, "Men shall be lovers of their own selves." Right? There's a lot of so called men that are so called in this truth. And I'm telling you, because I can count at least, man, at least a handful that I personally know, because I've personally counseled with sisters and like, yeah, well, this brother and he claimed to be in the truth and he did this, that, and more than that, actually, now that I think about it. And, he slept with me, and then now either he doesn't want to see this marriage, or he doesn't want to provide for me, or he said he made excuses as to this, that, and the other, right? Whatever the case may be. What it comes down to is they're lovers of themselves. They were coveters, right? They have no natural affection. They were incontinent, meaning they can't control their sexual urges. They're despisers of those that are good, because some of these sisters are sincere and they're trying to do good, right? They're unholy. They're fierce. They're high minded. They're lovers of pleasure more than lovers of the Most High. But now check out this verse 6. "For of this sort, this kind, are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth." So there are a lot of brothers and even sisters that are like this. But this is speaking specifically for brothers that creep into houses and lead captive silly women, right? Led away with diverse lusts. I know of many so-called brothers and even so-called leaders of congregations and camps and men and churches that have done exactly this. They
Mm-hmm.
crept into women's houses, slept with them because they were led away by diverse lusts, and did nothing according to the scriptures.
And I ain't gonna say no names here, but I heard somebody that was a leader of a camp, calls himself chief priest, and said that women have to be beguiled into certain things in their life.
Come.
And it was the spirit that he said it in, which said everything about him specifically. That goes perfect with that verse. You creep into a woman's house. You can creep multiple different ways. You can do it. You can do it physically by just busting in there, or you can do it in a very manipulative and subtle way, like a serpent.
Like a beguiling way.
Exactly, very much so, and that's how I know you posted something about on your Instagram recently talking about women fall for the oldest trick in the book, and that's definitely one of them for sure. Multiple old tricks, but that's definitely one of them.
Con. So let's go ahead and go to Jeremiah chapter 2,
Con.
2 and 8. Through the Spirit, just talking about a priest, right?
Con. This is Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 8. The priest said not, where is Yahweh? And they that handle the law knew me not. The pastors also transgressed against me, and the prophets prophesied by Baal, and walk after things that do not profit.
So there are people that teach the law, is what it's saying, but they don't even know the Most High really.
Mm-hmm.
It says there's people that handle the law, priests that handle the law, but don't even know the Most High. How is that possible though? The Most High is all the laws in this. He comes in the volume of the book. Yes, this is true, but again, your spirit, or there's many verses that say the Most High weighs the spirits,
Plural.
right? He knows what spirit you're doing things in. And there's a lot of people that teach the word that aren't in the spirit, in the Holy Spirit. They're teaching it so that they can deceive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like Satan when he was trying to tempt Yahushai, right? He said, throw yourself off this the pinnacle of this temple. Isn't it written that the Most High will give his angels charge over you and you won't be hurt? Satan was trying to use the word to tempt or trick Yahushai, which is why it's important for us to know the word. Because what did Yahushai said? It is written, you shall not tempt the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
There's people out here that are so-called prophets and priests and teachers and elders and all of these things, and they're going to use the word in order to try to beguile and to deceive people. And it is happening.
It's working.
But it's not going to work on the Most High's chosen. And
Mm-hmm.
again, not saying we are chosen, not saying anybody's chosen, because like I said earlier, there's brothers out here that act and speak as if they are chosen, and none of us know who's chosen.
At all.
None of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm gonna. This is Jeremiah 2 and 8 in the NLT. It says, "The priests did not ask, 'Where is Yahweh?' Those who taught my word ignored me. They turned against me, and the prophets spoke in the name of Baal, wasting their time on vanity." Right? And in the KJV, it says, "Walked after things that do not profit." There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people that teach things and walk after things that don't profit anything. Well, what's that song where it says the club ain't gonna do nothing for you?
He said, how you gonna? He said, how you gonna look for love? Love in the club.
I'm talking about the true song.
Oh, that one. Oh, that's what's his name? That's
It's not
Key
Hezekiah.
Bars.
Oh
Key
yeah, key
Bars.
bars. It's key bars.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
says the club ain't gonna do nothing for you. My bad. It was two songs popped in my
I
head.
get you though. Yeah, that's
Same
true too.
thing. Same thing. No, club ain't gonna do nothing for you. Profitable.
Right. So there's people that walk after things that will give you no profit. Right. There's also many other things that certain teachers and teachers with quotations, prophets with quotations, right? They walk after that isn't going to profit you anything, right? Or they're teaching things that aren't going to profit you anything. When you have these so-called prophets and half or more than half of their videos got clickbait titles,
Mm-hmm. Edomites get dashed into pieces.
to
False by a false preacher. Gentile meets 144K. Like, oh my gosh, bro.
hey, but you know what? Again,
Fishers
Israel,
of men, right?
Israel loves to be entertained.
So do.
Okay, Israel loves to be entertained, and this is why when we were like clearly not in the truth, not trying to follow the truth, etc., we we tried to fill as much of our time with entertainment as possible.
I agree.
Right? You try to go to clubs, you try to have parties, you try to, chill with people and smoke and drink, anything to be entertained.
Sex, all that.
Right? Everybody had their own vice, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
was.
Mm-hmm.
You try to distract and entertain yourself. You try to look for pleasure, right? So that taking that right, and you could see, or you should be able to see. Most High willing, you could see, right? Most High willing, you could see that, even though there's no verse that says this, right? You have two types of men. You have a pleasure-driven man, and you have a purpose-driven man.
Mhm.
There are people that claim to be in the truth, that claim their purpose is for the Most High, but then why are they so into pleasures, worldly pleasures? Right? That's the type of question you have to ask yourself. Right? Like the key bars, I didn't say it, but I agree with it 100%. The club is not gonna do anything for you. What is that gonna do for you?
Number allow you to, you gonna put yourself in the position for a bunch of evil spirits to hop on your spirit.
Flee from sin as from the face of a serpent. Me and the brother were training earlier today.
Saw a snake.
Right? A snake popped out. This brother got up so he was flash.
Oh, I got up so quick.
He was flash,
It,
right?
it wasn't even 30 seconds that went by.
That's how you should be trying to get away from situations like the club. Because what's in the club? Nothing but sin. There's pharmakia and witchcraft and a bunch of lascivious women who got wicked spirits all over them. You don't even know. And this is something I was talking to a sister about this too, right? You know how many women aren't even women in the club?
That's heavy right there. They ain't ready for that one.
Or you know how many, like, think about this. Do you think spirits, there's certain spirits that are masculine or feminine, right? What if you got a gay dude spirit on a woman and trying to get with you? A lascivious ass woman.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? These are things that I've thought about before, and I'm just like, man, it really makes me want to stay out of that position even more.
Very scary.
Right? So putting yourself in that type of position to be tempted and to go off is not a wise thing to do. On top of that, it says those that are reveling will not make it into the kingdom.
And you tempting the Most High if you put yourself in that position.
Con,
So I mean, He might give it to you. You know what I'm saying? It's up to you.
con. Um, is Genesis 39:7. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, lie with me. If you want to actually get that out and keep reading it, because that's exactly what I was saying right now. 39, Genesis 39:8.
I'm about to get it for you right now.
So when you're tempted, and that's what happens in the club, right? That's what happens in the club. There's gonna be women, and guess what? They don't know it, but they're married. Unless you're coming across a virgin, right? And that's another thing I was talking to somebody about the other day. Like, there's brothers that are addicted to porn, right? There's even brothers out here that teach it's okay to watch porn. There's nothing wrong with porn. It's just you're not actually doing it. But all these women are married.
Yep.
And he that looketh after a woman and lusts upon her that's married is committing adultery in his heart. So you're literally committing adultery every time you watch porn. But you have whole congregations and camps and false prophets teaching that it's okay to watch porn.
You would think common sense, you know what I'm saying, and and just being logical, let you know that's not true. But common sense ain't so common. So
And that's what's crazy to me about certain things like that. Like, if you ask a Christian, straight up Christian, is porn good? Is porn all right with in the Most High's or in God's eyes? Would Jesus be okay with porn? Oh, of course not. Pornography is of the devil and blah blah blah. But then you have Israelites who know who they are, know they're chosen, and oh nah, there's nothing wrong with that. Just watch some porn. It's better than going and sleeping with a woman.
The greatest deception always come from the inside.
But go ahead, Ak.
This is Genesis chapter 39, verse 7 and 8. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, lie with me. But he refused, and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in this house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand.
So Joseph said, man, my master has given me everything in that he owns, it's in my power, because he made him like the chief person in his house. Go ahead.
Big dog. Verse 9. There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me, but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against Yahweh?
So he said, I'm not going to lie with you, because not only did my master give me, he didn't keep nothing back from me, only you, because you're his wife. But how could I commit this great wickedness and sin against the Most High? Go ahead.
Verse 10. And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her, to lie by her or to be with her.
So day after day, she was saying to sleep with her. Day after day after day, right? So go ahead and or just go ahead and keep going on.
Verse 11. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within.
So there was nobody in the house. Go ahead.
And she caught him by the garment, saying, Lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got him out.
That's what you have to do when it comes to temptation. And that's what Solomon said in Sirach as well. He said to flee from temptation as from the face of a serpent. Right? When you're tempted in certain situations like that, it may not even be that specific situation. The best possible thing to do is to flee from it.
Just get out the way.
Just get out, because the longer you stay around it, you're gonna eventually give into it. Right? Mm-hmm. You never have to fight a fight that you run away from. And I'm not saying don't fight like spiritual battles and things of that nature, but the easiest way to fight off temptation is to not put yourself in the ring.
Resist the devil and he will flee.
Right? And the best way to resist him is get away from him.
Exactly.
The devil comes to you in people the majority of times.
Mm-hmm.
So you eliminate those people from your life, right? Whether it be a so-called friend, girlfriend, boyfriend, whether it be a false prophet, or whether it be someone that you congregate with, whatever the case may be. It's like the brother Warrior's Dream had said earlier. We all have to work out our own salvation. So in the end, that's what it comes down to. Right? The brother said those clickbait titles.
Nah, for real, bro. I done seen so many of them, man, where I just, you know it's clickbait, bro. You know it's clickbait. Like, you just...
And it works because, again, Israel loves to be entertained. And that's why I put distractions.
Somebody daddy I know, I ain't gonna say no names, but somebody daddy I know had 100,000 views off clickbait.
Clickbait. And okay, so again, well, like I said earlier, a lot of times you can tell more from the spirit something's done in Salakia, being done in, than what is actually said or what's written. Right? If you read a clickbait title and it says "heathens dashed to pieces," right? I know, because I used to click on these videos 5-6 years ago.
I used to binge watch them, bro.
Right? And you just love that feeling you get when you just see, oh man, they're cutting up Esau. Oh yeah, you see that? That's so mighty. Mm-hmm. But how many souls is that saving?
Not enough.
Right? How is that gonna help your own salvation? And the problem with that is you get into the habit of watching that or clicking on that, because we're creatures of habit, right?
Turns you into a groupie.
Con men.
Yep.
They used to get me too. I'd love to watch the other nations getting the verbal lashing, but I've matured.
All praises.
And that's like the brother Jomar had said on his last live. He was like, oh, because in one of his songs, Exodus 3:14, right? He said, now I'm feeling like killing 9 Edomites at a time with the anger of a slave. So he was feeling like killing 9 Edomites at a time, meaning I'm gonna kill 9, then I'm gonna kill another 9, and then I'm gonna kill another 9. That's how he felt.
He's gonna tear him up,
right? Where do you think that he got that spirit from? Right? He got it because it was learned. It was a learned thing. So the more you're just watching these clickbait videos over and over and over and over, and it's putting you in that spirit. If you want to get Psalm 101 and 3 out, this is Psalm 106:39. Were they defiled with their own works and went a whoring. You get defiled with your, these are good fruits, but you want to go and do something else, things.
Guaranteed.
You will lead yourself astray every time, which is why the most important thing in this walk is just doing what the Most High says to do.
Simplicity of Mashiach.
Exactly, and that's why I said, well, I'll get that after you read that. Go ahead.
This is Psalms chapter 101, verse 3. I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes. I hate the work of them that turn aside. It shall not cleave to me. Precept popped in my head too.
So that's what happens, right? Brothers want to put wicked things before their eyes, and then it cleaves to them, whether it be lascivious females, and that spirit of lust cleaves to you, right? It could be in the club, it could just be on social media. You're following, that's another thing. You know how many of these false prophets are following half naked women?
Bro, I ain't gonna lie. I done went through a few of these jumps, bro, to see, you know what I'm saying, these people that are very highly esteemed by men of this earth, right? And see who they follow and all that stuff. I'm gonna be real, you can tell a lot by who somebody follows too. I don't care what you say. I do not care what you say. You can tell a lot about somebody by who they follow. Now all the time is that something you can judge somebody off of and make a final decision off of, but you can kind of get a good little glimpse of what, could potentially mean,
and what their spirit's attracted to.
Exactly.
But go ahead.
I got a precept. It's Amos chapter 5, verse 15. Hate the evil and love the good, and establish judgment in the gates. It may be that Yahweh, God of hosts, will be gracious unto the remnant of Joseph.
Khan. So that's what we always have to be doing every day, every time, especially when you go out in public, but it could even be around your family members, right? Whether it be your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your uncles, your anybody, right? You have to establish judgment at the gates. Meaning, and it's like Yahushua said, right? He said, as I see, I judge. And my judgment is right because it's not my judgment, but it's the Father's judgment. So you hate the evil and love the good. Well, what's evil? The word tells you clearly what's evil. It says, love the good. Well, what's good? Yahushua even said, why thou callest me good? There's one that's good, the Father in heaven. This is the Father's word. The Bible is the Father's word. Then that's what is good. You're supposed to love what the word says. If somebody's moving contrary to the word, that's evil. You're actually supposed to hate that. And it doesn't matter how many followers these people have. It doesn't matter how long they've been in the truth. It doesn't matter how many videos they've had or how many times they've gone out to preach or how big their congregation is, how many men are under them, how many times they've taught you, right? All that matters is what they're saying good. And what is good? The word. Does it line up with the word? No, okay, then it's not good. Right? So like the brother said a minute ago, this is 2 Corinthians 11:3. It says, but I fear lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your minds should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Hamashiach. So you can get beguiled through subtlety, right? Through craftiness, through subtle speaking, sneaky talk, right? You can be corrupted from the simplicity that's in Christ, in Hamashiach. And he's what? The word. Right? So it's very easy for somebody who doesn't really know the word or never studied the word for themselves to be corrupted or to be beguiled or deceived because you've never studied for yourself, right? And that's why I always ask, or I used to, right? I haven't been talking to that many brothers that are a part of camps and stuff like that. But one of the questions I'll ask them sometimes is, so, because they'll say, oh, I've been in the truth this long, I've been blah, 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 I've been with this camp, whatever the case may be, right? And I'll say, okay, well, do you know the Ten Commandments? And you'd be surprised at how many people don't know the Ten Commandments, which is base, that's the milk, right? That's a part of the milk. That's like basics. All my children, or my two older daughters, could name off the Ten Commandments
In order.
in order, right? But you have people that go out in the streets and teach that can't even tell you that, but they're quick to go and cut a heathen to pieces,
Dashed to pieces.
right? It's crazy. But again, this comes through discernment. It comes through asking the right questions. It comes through not being a follower of men, a blind follower, right? That's a good precept as well.
That's a great precept.
You want to go ahead and read it?
Con. This is that First Corinthians?
I believe so.
Con. Corinthians 8 and 9. But take heed, lest by any means this liberty of yours become a stumbling block to them that are weak.
So there's certain brothers that say, well, there's no law saying we cannot do this. We have liberty to do this.
I got you.
Right? But you have to understand, especially when you're a so-called prophet or teacher, you've been in the truth for a certain amount of time, you got a big following or any type of following, right? It's going to happen that there's going to be people that are weaker than you. And they see what you're doing. And then because they see what you're doing, they do it too. And it's a stumbling block to them because they're not as strong. They can't do that, right? They're not able to do what you're doing. And that's why the Most High, that's why Paul said, you shouldn't be masters over many things, right? In other words, you should not be trying to do all of these different things. Like I said before, okay, I'll teach on salvation issues, right? To use myself as an example. Or I'll teach on family things, family matters, men, fathers, husbands, wives, children, etc. Why? Because I have a large family. Because I have, all praise to the Most High, a good a marriage according to the scriptures. So that's what I'm gonna speak on. But then you have other brothers. You have some people that will teach on things they have no idea about. You'll have brothers teaching on marriage, and they've never been in a serious relationship even. Or you have brothers giving marriage advice to brothers that are married, and their marriage is trash.
I seen a dude who's not married at all trying to get marriage advice.
I've seen a dude running a polygamous page, right?
Oh,
and he doesn't even have one wife,
right?
right?
The wrong thing.
You have, just using that as an example, because like I said, I speak on marriage and stuff like that because I've been married. I've been with my rib for like 10 years, and the time that we've been in the truth, 5 6 years, about 6 years, I'd say the last 3 4 years. She said it the other day too. She was like, I can't even remember when's the last time we argued.
Beautiful.
And I was like, you know what? All praise to the Most High. I can't either, and I don't even want to. I don't even want to know.
Beautiful.
Right? So that's why I speak on those certain things. But then I've even had brothers from certain camps like, oh, well, this brother said this about marriage and blah, 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 but he's not even married. So I wanted to ask you on this and blah. So we have to understand we can't be a stumbling block to other people that are weak, right? And it's just like this brother is not going to teach me. I'm not going to go to him and be like, hey, in MMA, like this move, should I do this or that? Because I've been doing it for 12, 13 years.
Right, you got me beat. So,
or if he was like, he played college football for a period of time. He's not gonna come to me and be like, "Hey, and in this play when they run this route, like I'm not gonna know what the hell he's talking about." You know what I'm saying? Everybody has their own gifts or their own wisdom in certain areas.
And I got a precept to go off of the one that the brother just read that was posted. This is Matthew chapter 5, verse 20. This is perfect. For I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven.
Con, con. You want to read that one more time?
Con. For I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. And the only reason why that popped in my mind is because we were just talking about people that blind follow.
Con, con.
Every beast cleaveth to his like, right?
Every beast cleaves to his like, and that's why when you see or anytime you hear about the Pharisees and stuff, they didn't really believe in Yahushua, right? They didn't believe in Yahushua, and that's why. What was that precept? Was it
When we
Matthew?
just pulled earlier.
Was it 21?
21 and
I think it was like 23 or 27.
I'm gonna find it. It's 21 for sure though.
So I'm gonna actually read this too real quick. This is Matthew 23 and verse 24. It says, "Ye blind guides, which strain at a gnat and swallow a camel." Right? There are certain people that are blind when it comes to certain things, and they will make such a big deal about something that really isn't a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But it says, and they will swallow a camel. Right? Meaning there's weightier things, which it actually talks about weightier matters of the law,
Yeah.
right? Weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone. There's people that, I'm gonna give you an example, right? There's people that will teach Esau's the white man and reincarnation and all of these other things, but they don't teach as much about mercy, about faith, about the fruits of the spirit, etc. Right? And that's where the distraction part comes in. Because you don't really have to, and this is something I was telling my rib too a while ago, a while back. When I was fighting, when I was doing MMA, right? Normally you have 6 to 8 weeks to train for a fight, right? Sometimes it would be 12 up to 12 weeks, which is 3 months. But the majority of the time it was around 8 weeks. So let's say I'm training super hard for 6 weeks and I got two, or let's say I'm training 6 weeks and I got three left, right? Just as an example. If somebody distracts me for 2 weeks, I'm probably not going to win. Because 2 weeks, even though I already trained 6, 2 weeks of distraction and me not really training how I'm supposed to, or I'm only doing it once a day now, or I miss a couple days. The majority of the time, that's enough to lose.
A little leaven.
A little leaven it the whole lump, right? So when you have people that are concentrated or making you be concentrated on things that are not salvation issues, all that time you're spending doing that, you could be spending on salvation, on working out your own salvation. You got another precept part?
Oh,
Or that's the
this was just the precept you was talking about in Matthew 21, where the Pharisees didn't believe in Yahweh because he was talking about how the Pharisees didn't believe in the whole baptism when John was going around talking about the baptism.
come.
Okay. I actually go ahead and read it. It's Matthew chapter 21, verse 23 through 27. And when he was come into the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the people came unto him as he was teaching, and said, By what authority doest thou these things? And who gave thee this authority?
Go ahead.
And Yahushua answered and said unto them, I also will ask you one thing. Which if ye tell me, I and likewise will tell you by what authority I do these things. The baptism of John, whence was it? From heaven or of men? And they reasoned with themselves, saying, if we shall say from heaven, he will say unto us, why did ye not then believe him? But if we shall say of men, we fear the people, for all hold John as a prophet. And they answered Yahushua and said, we cannot tell. And he said unto them, neither tell I you by what authority I do these things.
So to break it down in layman's terms, our Messiah asked the chief priests and the elders, and if you read up a little bit, it's talking about the Pharisees, right? Chief priests and elders. And these were the people that were teaching the law. He asked them, is the water baptism of the Most High, or is it just of John? Right? And the answer they came up with after talking amongst themselves was, we don't know. We can't tell. Right? Now, I'm bringing that out because the brother read another precept that said, our righteousness has to exceed the Pharisees and these chief priests and elders' righteousness. Meaning we got to do better than them because they weren't doing good enough. So these men were denying the water baptism. So don't we have to do better than them?
Mm-hmm.
Yahushua said we have to do better than them. So them not believing in it, obviously we need to be baptized, follow in his footsteps. And this is just one of the many more specific things, right? But I say that one because this is a very, very important one when it comes to following in his footsteps, right? But let's go ahead and go back to Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 8. Jeremiah 10 and 8. And let me read this real quick. It says, all praise to the Most High that you and your wife don't argue. What a blessing. Khan. All praise to the Most High. The brother Des said, Acts 14:22, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of the Most High. Khan. That's a verse, man. I've read that verse so many times. I posted that verse so many times. We have to go through much tribulation to prove ourselves to the Most High.
That's one.
Right? And one of the tribulations, one of the way you confirm your soul is by doing this. Well, yeah, I know these I've been congregating with these types of people. I've been learning from this guy or these people for a long time. But I know, and the Most High has revealed to me that they're going off. So what do I have to do? I have to try not to suffer sin upon them. I'm gonna try to prove all things. I'm gonna debate my cause with my neighbor himself. And if they won't hear you out, then guess what? You got to get out. Because if not, you're choosing the doctrine of men over the Most High. And like we read in 2 John 1 and 10 and 11, you are partaking in their evil deeds. Because, like I've said many times before too, you have certain brothers or certain camps that'll go out and that's very that's definitely partaking in their evil deeds. Because you'll have one, like you'll have one teaching about Sabbath. Oh yeah, the Sabbath, we go off the lunar when the new moon comes in 7 days after is the, and then you have someone, the guy in the back is just standing. He believes the Sabbath. There's there's deeper stuff than that, but just even that most basic thing, right? How can two walk together except they be agreed?
Exactly.
They're not supposed to, but that's what some people are trying to do, right?
Come
And
out from among them.
you must come out from among them, so you are not partaker in their evil deeds and in their false doctrines, right? But go ahead and read that out.
Khan, this is Jeremiah 10 and 8. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 8. But they are altogether brutish and foolish.
There's many people that teach a doctrine of vanities, vanity, vain, useless, worthless, breathly, worldly, right? These types of people are brutish and foolish. Brutish means stupid. That's what it means. Look it up. It means stupid. Teaching doctrines of vanities, right? And some of the worst ones, I mean, man, like there's bad ones.
Church of Yahweh, not Yahweh Shah, but the one body of Yahweh Shah.
The one, yeah, that, yeah.
That's the worst one.
Every single thing. I don't know what's the worst one,
Well,
but
nah,
that's
you right.
definitely one of the worst ones.
IUIC on the same level because they think you can get the mark and repent.
You can get the mark and repent. There's people that say it doesn't matter what you do as long as you're Israel, you're in the kingdom.
You can go in the club, have
That
prostitutes.
you can get with prostitutes and you can sleep with women as long as you're paying them. It doesn't have to be seen as marriage. There, you got brothers teaching as soon as a chick hits her period, she's game. You can marry her. It doesn't matter if she's 10, 11, 12.
We got 144%
You
true.
got brothers that know everything the Most High knows, right? You got all types of crazy doctrine. You got people that teach that everything that Yahushua did was spiritual. He never walked on water. He never broke the bread and the fish. He never, none of the miracles. Oh no, he didn't really heal people. He didn't really bring people back to. He didn't resurrect nobody. You got all types of crazy doctrines out here right now, and this is what it's talking about. It says the stock is a doctrine of vanities. These people are brutish and foolish. They're blind. They're ignorant. They're dumb dogs. If you want to get that in Isaiah 56,
Time.
56 and 10. All of these things are they're false, and that's why they are false prophets. Right? It's easy to see. It's easy to see lies again when you know the scriptures.
This is Isaiah chapter 56, verse 10. His watchmen are blind.
They're blind. They cannot spiritually see things. They can't see what the scriptures actually mean. Go ahead.
They are all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs. They cannot bark. Sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber.
They're spiritually sleeping, but they think they know the Bible. Go ahead.
Yeah, they are greedy dogs, which can never have enough. And they are shepherds that cannot understand.
They're greedy dogs. A lot of people are living off of their congregations, their churches, the brothers that are under them, their affiliations. That's another thing. We were thinking about being a part of a certain affiliation a few years back, and they were like, "Okay, yeah, we'll send you a couple shirts and a couple what do they call it? Posters. It's gonna be this much a month." I'm like, wait, hold, wait, it's gonna be what?
I gotta do what, buddy?
Yeah, you send this much a month. It's like the affiliation of the camp fees and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, whoa, hold up. So so we're already Israelites, right? And this is another thing that a lot of camps, congregations, churches, even denominations will say: if you're not with us, you're not in the truth. If you're not with us, you're not gonna make it. The Most High never said that.
Never.
The Most High has a chosen nation of people. You don't have to join anything in order to make it to the kingdom. Now, I'm not saying don't join anything.
That's up to you.
That's up to you. Everybody's got to work out their own salvation. But me and my house will serve the Most High.
Yep.
We're not serving any camp. We're not serving any elder or leader or anything like that. And that's not saying that it wouldn't happen in the future. Maybe the Most High sets up somebody that they seem to be moving in the spirit and teaching the word right, blah blah blah. What I'm saying is, from what I've experienced up until this point, the people that I've came across and been offered to join and things of that nature and become affiliations and all that, there's always something off, or they're always experienced, right? It says, yea, they are greedy dogs which can never have enough, and they are shepherds that cannot understand. Go ahead.
They all look to their own way,
They're looking out for their own personal agenda. Go ahead.
every one for his gain from his quarter.
They want their own gain. And that's what I've personally seen with a lot of people. And I won't even say camps. I'll say from a lot of brothers that are in very high positions in certain camps. It's very easy to see and understand that a lot of them look to their own way and are greedy, right? And this is Salakia. The same verse in the NLT, Isaiah 56:11. It says, like greedy dogs, they are never satisfied. They are ignorant shepherds, all following their own path and intent for personal gain. You got to look out for people that are out for their own personal gain as opposed to gaining for the Most High. And 31, Baba Kashaw.
Kind.
Let me go up. So brother said the Bible is that bread. They slice the pie and eat and getting rich off the truth. Con. There are a lot of people trying to get rich off the truth. Buy the truth and sell it not. Again, not getting into names or nothing like that, because I've spoken on these things many times and have named names. This is for brothers and sisters that have eyes to see, ears to hear. There was certain brothers out here giving biblical counseling for $100 a month.
Literally.
$100 a month, and guess what? People were doing it. People were doing it.
Oh my goodness.
Right? Camp fees. Where is that in the scripture? Exactly.
Exactly, bro. Where
Exactly.
does it tell you in the scripture go and join a camp? I know there's a verse in Sirach where it tells you get the love of thy congregation, but don't know where it tell you, oh, go and join the camp. It tells you work out your own salvation. Don't tell you go in there and join the church. You are the church.
We are the church, and that's why I'll say this too. Congregating is important,
Mm-hmm.
right? Being around like-minded brothers and sisters is important.
Very.
But guess what? If you're in a family, if you're in a household like me, my rib, my children, and then this brother, and then one other sister, I consider them my family, right? And of course, there's extended families. Like there's other brothers and sisters that I know that I talk to, like on a weekly basis. That yes, they are my spiritual family. Yahweh Shai said that those that do the will of the Most High are my brother and sister and mother, right? So yes, I understand that. But people that I would trust around my children and my wife, very small amount of people, and it should be that way because you've never proved all these other people,
Nah, for real.
right? Prove all things. We have to prove all things, all people, right? But going along with this, the brother said camp fees. Where is that in the scriptures? See, my biggest problem is not even the fact that you have to pay a camp fee in order to be with certain people. My biggest problem is that a lot of these men don't even work or do anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're literally living off of the people that are under them. So this is Second Thessalonians 3:10. For even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither should he eat. So if the scriptures say if you don't work, you shouldn't eat, and there's brothers out here living off of their congregations, is that not the exact same business structure as Christianity?
It's 100% the same exact thing.
It's the exact, and I've posted that before too, and I know I got a lot of kickback, I guess you could say, from some people, and I was just basically saying, for y'all talking so much against Christianity, you seem to love having the same business model, right? And that's how a lot of people are, and it's sad. And it's crazy to me, not that they're doing it, but that so many people are okay with it, right? Psalm 26:10, in whose hands is mischief, and their right hand is full of bribes. Khan, Khan, and the bribe for a lot of these brothers is okay. Yeah, join the congregation, blah blah blah. You pay this much a month, and you're the leader of your own camp. You start your own camp in your city, and you use our name and this that and the other, right? That's the bribe. The vain glory is the bribe for a lot of brothers.
It's sad, man.
Khan.
It really is sad, bro. Like I don't get it. I really don't. It's not even. It's one thing for the wicked leaders, you know what I'm saying, to get it set up, but then you got the people that's literally out here willing to comply with it.
Khan. And that's like me and was it Jomar or was oh you know what? I think it was the brother Azariah. We did a live and it was on Khan men.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Khan Kan Khan in Hebrew means yes. There's a lot of Khan men amongst Israel. They just Khan, yes, yes,
Bring that out.
yes. And it's funny because in when I was in MMA, right, they would always say like you do not need any yes men around you. Like, yes, you're so good. Yes, your striking is so yes, you're wrestling. Yes, you can whoop that dude. Yes, you're so much better than him. You don't need people like that around because you're not gonna get better like that. Right? So it's crazy that in congregations and camps and even churches and things of that nature, you have so many people that whatever the leader says, it doesn't even matter if it's against the scriptures. Khan, that's all you're gonna say. You may even not believe it, and you're still going along. You're gonna go along to get along, right? Let me go. Khan is hurting our people. It is hurting our people, but most of these people don't care. They don't care if it's hurting our people, right? They care about what the brother just posted here. Sirach 6:8. For some man is a friend for his own occasion, and will not abide in the day of thy trouble. Right? That's just like the Christian churches. You give thousands of dollars to the Christian church over your life, especially so-called blacks and Hispanics, right? But if you miss your rent for 2 or 3 months and they're about to kick you out and you go to that church, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to give you no money to help you out.
Oh no.
And it's the same thing with some of these congregations, right? Another thing was I was really heavily um, involved with one particular camp as well years ago, probably maybe 4 years ago, close to 5 years ago. It was when I was real green in the truth. And I remember asking, and a sister asked the same brother too. A sister that I personally know that lives around here had asked the same brother for counsel. I had asked him for counsel, and what he said was he answered the message, but what he said was, "Oh, if you want counsel, you got to get on our live and ask the question. We go live at this time on these days and ask it on there." And it's like, brother, if you have time to go click on my message and write back to me, why don't you just answer? I'm just asking for a couple scriptures.
Answer it right there.
The reason why is because they don't care about you personally, right? They want something that's gonna benefit them, right? Malachi 3:9, ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. Khan. And a lot of these brothers are starting to see that curse because the Most High is bringing to light their true spirit, right? Warrior's Dream, that sounds phenomenal. A small assembly of 2, 3 families, and you brothers are full of scripture. I pray that your group gets stronger and stronger. I'm looking for that type of assembly in Florida. Khan. And it's like it says in Sirach.
Just the family, man.
Khan, it says in Sirach 6 as well that when you fear the Most High, He's going to direct your friendship aright. So as long as you keep working out your own salvation, He's going to put people around you that are like you. Right? You want to read that real quick, Art?
Time. 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verse 11. For we hear that there are some which walk among you disorderly, working not at all, but are busybodies.
Working not at all. And that's actually the verse after the one I just read, right? There are people that are busybodies, but they don't do nothing, right? They don't do nothing. This word is our work, our gift, Khan. But also, we have to understand if you're a man that has family, you physically have to work. It's not all spiritual.
Exactly.
You got
Just
to provide.
balance.
Yeah, just balance, physical and spiritual. And a lot of these men, I know certain men, right? Or men in quotations,
Boys.
that are, yeah, grown ass boys that are leaders of congregations that have a wife or multiple wives, and they don't work. They don't physically work, right? They're going to say, my work, like the brother said, this word is our work, our gift. Khan, it's our work. But when you have a family and a wife or multiple wives, like I know multiple brothers do, and they have no way of bringing in income, and their wives are bringing income into the house, how does that make sense? You can't make that make sense. A man is supposed to provide for his household. If he doesn't, he's worse than an infidel, right? Brother said con men, not X men.
Nah, for real.
Con. Uh, this how we're about to fix all this BS out here. Revelation 2939. Con. That's a different topic, but con. Sister Elena Shalom says shalom, shalom. Abba will show these people to Khan, and that's the
Oh,
thing.
every time.
That's the thing. He's gonna show, just like it says all throughout the scriptures. Everything that's hidden is going to be known, and everything that is in the dark is going to come to the light. But we also have to understand there's people that they have an appointed judgment that is not gonna come until later on, right? It's gonna come later on. But you got what, Jeremiah?
That was Jeremiah 5 and 31.
Okay, Con, if you can go to 8 and 9, Baba Kishar. We're gonna get a couple more scriptures and then we'll close it out.
This is Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 1. At that time, saith Yahweh, they shall bring out the bones.
Salaki, verse 9.
Oh, verse 9. Salaki. Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 9. The wise men are ashamed. They are dismayed and taken. Lo, they have rejected the word of Yahweh, and that wisdom. Oh, Salakia. And what wisdom is in them?
So that's what's gonna happen. Like the sister said, Abba will show you these people, or will show you these people too.
If you patient enough, yeah.
If you're patient and you have discernment and you pray like Solomon did, he prayed to remove vanity and lies from him. A lot of times the lies that you have to remove from you are the people that you're learning from.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, just like it says in Ecclesiastes 3, there's a time and a place, there's a season for everything under the sun, right? There's a season for false prophets in your walk too.
For real. It's a test.
It's a test. It's gonna see, you're gonna show, okay, are you gonna give in to that, or are you gonna rely on the word?
Mm-hmm. Have you actually been studying?
Right, or not. So this is the same verse. This is Jeremiah 8 and 9 in the NLT. It says, these wise teachers will fall into the trap of their own foolishness, for they have rejected the word of Yahweh. Are they so wise after all? Right? So these wise teachers are going to fall into their own traps of their own false doctrines. Because in the end, everyone reaps what they sow. So if you're sowing a bunch of lies, you're going to fall right into that trap, into that pit. If you want to go to chapter 10 and verse 14.
This is Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 14. Every man is brutish in his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image. For his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them.
So every man is brutish in his knowledge, right? Every founder is confounded by the graven image. Now we know a lot of Israel, the majority of Israel is not going to fall into graven images, praying to graven images, right? Things of that nature. It says, for his molten image is falsehood. There is no breath in them. But when you look at this in a more spiritual way, what is a graven image? It's an idol, right? A lot of people idolize their so-called teachers or elders or congregation heads or pastors or ministers or whatever they call themselves. They idolize them. And this says, for his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. A lot of these people don't have the breath of life, and they are just idols. And in the end, when you trust in them and you go off of what they say and you can, even though you don't believe it or you can't even prove it, right? That's another thing I tell brothers and sisters all the time. Like if you can't prove something with this with the scriptures, but you believe in it because someone taught it to you, that's idolatry. Because you didn't even look into it for yourself. Oh yeah, well this brother said this, and this, and yeah, that's the truth. Okay, well, can you show me some scriptures to back that up? Well, no, I can't, but I mean, this brother said this, or this camp said this, and I learned it from them. That's actually idolatry because you're learning from a man and trusting in him, and you can't even prove it with the Most High's words, right? If you can read 12 and 10.
This is Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 10. Many pastors have destroyed my vineyard. They have trodden my portion underfoot. They have made my pleasant portion a desolate.
There's many pastors or many people that teach that have destroyed the most. When you destroy a vineyard, there's not going to be no more fruit coming out of it. And that's why you have a lot of people in the truth that don't really have no fruits, but they know they're Israelites. Or they know and they believe in the names, in the Hebrew names. Or they keep Sabbath maybe, and they do the more basic or the first types of things you learn when you come into the truth. But these pastors have destroyed them and made them desolate, meaning that they don't really have that many fruits,
If any.
if any, because the fruits come from following after these salvation issues, right? Which I have done lessons on that as well. So let's go ahead and go to 20 Jeremiah 23 and 1.
Con. This is Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 1. Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith Yahweh.
So a pastor or a shepherd is who would watch the sheep, right? They're supposed to protect the sheep, like David, perfect shepherd, perfect example of a shepherd. Perfect example of a shepherd. He fought off a lion and a bear to protect the sheep. A lot of these so-called shepherds would not even raise a finger to protect you. spiritually or physically.
Real deal.
Spiritually or physically, happen to these destroying them.
Mm-hmm.
He also scatters these type of leaders, scatter them, because what I've heard happen many times with brothers, they Salake, kick this out real quick. So we're gonna go ahead and read this one more time. 23 and 1, Baba Shah.
This is Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 1. Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith Yahweh.
A lot of these brothers or leaders or whatever false prophets are scattering the sheep, because I've heard many times where one person will leave the congregation, and they'll tell everybody in the congregation, do not talk to this person, do not deal with this person. This person's a bug out. This person's a Satan or the devil, or being used by them, and then some of them are like, well, damn, I mean, this sister, this brother was like sincere. It was a minor thing. That they're getting kicked out for, and now someone else leaves, or now
Bring them again to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase.
so in verse 3 it talks about side gathers set up to do these things. And like we read in Judges, the Most High, so the live keeps dropping. Like it's showing like we're in two of it, right? So the live keeps dropping out. That was actually the last verse we're gonna bring out, anyways. Jeremiah 23, verse 1 and 2. To all the false prophets, like I said before, there's certain camps or brothers, congregations that monitor my pages or my Instagram or my YouTube. And I know because brothers have told me and said, like, oh, you said this. So they were saying we can't deal with you or whatever, right? And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine with me. But to anybody who may hear this, if you are a false prophet, if you are spreading vanity, or if you're just being a blind follower to these people, and if the Most High sent you here and you hear this, it's for a reason. And again, it can be to your salvation or to your destruction.
Take heed how you hear.
Khan, so take heed how you hear, like the brother brought out earlier, right? Salvation issues is what we have to focus on. The things that are actually going to benefit us in our walks daily. You do not have to join a camp or congregation or church to make it to the kingdom, right? We're already a chosen nation. Now, it is very important to congregate with like minded individuals, though. It is also very important to be a part of a family unit because the whole Bible is actually based on order, and family is order. And that's why in the second chapter of the whole book, the Most High invented the family unit. Right? So I'm just going to read a couple comments and we'll close it out. Set apart Robert Issachar. Shabbat Shalom. Everything said tonight was nothing less than factual. Yapa lesson. Once again, Ak the water for the empowering and edifying word. Khan. All praise to the Most High. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. We weren't even gonna do a lesson on this. It was gonna be something else, but the Most High just put the spirit, made me see something that made me feel the need to make it. Right? The brother Dez said is Psalms 86:17. Show me a token for good, that they which hate me may see it and be ashamed, because thou, Yahweh, has Salakia, has hope in me and comforted me. Khan. And the Most High has given me many tokens before and allowed me to see that, you know what, just because people, it's actually a good thing when people curse your name or talk down on you. It's a good thing because, again, following in our Messiah's footsteps, didn't that happen to him all the time?
You ain't supposed to curse nobody, so it said a lot.
Since day one of following you on all platforms, you have always been A1. I will willing you and your household stay blessed. The water Ak. That's all praise to the Most High. All praise to the Most High. Exodus 5 and 21. And they said unto Yahweh, look upon you and judge, because ye have made our our savor to be abhorred in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servants, to put a sword in their hand to slay us. Khan, there's many people that would love nothing more than to slay you, physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. But guess what? Yahweh will fight for us if we just hold our peace, right? So the brother said, call hello Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai Khan. Barakatham to all you brothers and sisters that were on here, to anybody who may see it later. Y'all have a peaceful and blessed Shabbat through the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Till next time. You want to say something real quick, Ak?
Man, all I'm gonna say is definitely be aware because just much. And it really, I was telling him earlier today, man, it really is sad to me specifically that so many people are being deceived out here. But I understand how easy it is to be tricked. You know what I'm saying? When I first came into the knowledge of the truth, before I physically bought my own Bible and started working the scriptures myself, right? It was very, very easy for me to go off of what somebody said. I kid you not. Anybody could put energy behind it, say it a certain type of way, pull some scriptures and twist it like a regular church. But when you actually get your own word and you start reading it, you see it for yourself, you ain't gonna be a con man no more. You're gonna be sitting there having some real knowledge. But definitely take heed to how you hear. Be mindful. We way too deep into these last days right now to be deceived by all this. Like, I personally feel like it's at the point now where if you can't see, then it just might not be meant for you to see. You know what I'm saying? But I be willing for those who are sincere and have a pure heart, because Yahweh said, "Blessed are those who have a pure heart," that He wakes you up if you are blind following and bring you to the real truth. Pray to the Most High that He guides you and directs you in truth.
Khan, gotta have a contrite spirit,
Con.
right? But Khan, I agree with everything you said. If you don't have your own Bible, you better get your own Bible.
It wasn't until I got my own Bible when he took me out of that and literally led me to the right path.
Khan. So most high willing, at least one brother or sister takes heed to it. Like it says in Luke 15:10, all the angels in heaven rejoice when one sinner repents. And it's actually something that needs to be repented of when you're following blindly of men or churches or congregations, right? And you're putting that is your God when you're putting that over what the Most High says to do. Right. So one more time, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatah to all you brothers and sisters that are sincerely trying to walk out or live out the truth in sincerity and in humility. Right. So all praise to the Most High. Shabbat Shalom.